The first official U.S. delegation to visit Syria since Bashar al-Assad's fall met with the country's new leader in Damascus today. Assistant Secretary of State Barbara Leaf calling the talks, quote, quite good, very productive and detailed. She also says Ahmed al-Shara came across as, quote, pragmatic. The former jihadist is trying to ease international concerns about his interim government. He is the head of HTS, an Islamist group previously designated a terrorist organization by the State Department. And we've just learned the U.S. will remove its $10 million bounty on al-Shara after today's talks. CNN's Alex Marquardt has been following these developments from Washington. And Alex, we are getting these new details really just in the last few moments.
Yeah, Jessica, I think this was a remarkable meeting on several levels. I mean, first, stepping back, the U.S. cut diplomatic ties with Syria back in 2012. So this was the first high-level diplomatic meeting in quite some time. These are senior diplomats, 3 of them from the U.S. State Department, meeting with someone who has until today had a $10 million bounty on his head. The group that he belongs to, HTS, is still a designated terrorist organization. But Ahmed al-Shara, which is how he's being referred to now, as opposed to his jihadist name that the U.S. has been using for quite some time, did have this meeting with Barbara Leaf, Roger Carstens, who's in charge of hostage affairs, as well as Daniel Rubinstein, who is a newly named envoy for Syria. So, by all accounts, this was a productive meeting. It lasted for quite some time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It seems like they covered a lot of ground. Certainly, al-Shara wants the Syrian economy to get up and running again, which means asking the U.S. to remove sanctions. Meanwhile, the U.S. is pushing for an inclusive, representative government that will include women, minority, different sects, and that's why we're hearing Leaf talking about sort of moderate and pragmatic responses. Of course, another focus during this meeting, during this trip, Jessica, is the search for Austin Tice. That is something that the U.S. has been very much focused on in the 2 weeks since the downfall of Bashar al-Assad.
What more are we learning about the search for Austin Tice?
Well, we did get some new detail from Roger Carstens, who said that he was actually amazed by the number of secret prisons that they have since learned about since Assad fell. He said there are around 40 of them, but that the U.S. for now is focusing on 6 different facilities where they believe Tice has been held. He said that the U.S. has rather limited resources because you don't have U.S. officials on the ground. They've been working with allies, partners, different organizations to try to track down evidence. He thinks that the search will expand to other facilities and eventually more U.S. officials will get in there. But Jessica, for right now, they are still looking for evidence. In fact, they're looking for any shred of evidence that could lead them to the whereabouts of Tice. But sadly, for now, there does not appear to be anything new. That this search is still very much ongoing.
And inside Syria, the mood is mostly one of joy. This is tens of thousands of Syrians gathered in the streets of Damascus and other towns after Friday prayers to celebrate the fall of the Assad regime. The euphoria continued as dusk fell, with people chanting and holding flags and their cell phones to mark the occasion. It's the first such demonstration since Assad's ouster. The United Nations says about 100,000 Syrians have returned to the country from abroad since the Assad regime fell, but some came back to weigh up the situation and then left again. There's fear that the current instability could lead to further chaos. CNN's Salma Abdelaziz reports.
Before Ahmed Morjan hugs his mother for the first time in 13 years, they both kneel in prayer. Gratitude for a reunion they never believed would come. This is one of many emotional homecomings across Syria after the sudden fall of the Assad regime. At just 19 years old, with security forces hunting him down, Morjan fled his family's home in Aleppo. Here he is in 2016. Reporting for an opposition-based media network as barrel bombs rained down from the sky. Later that year, Morjan filmed the exodus as thousands withdrew from the last remaining rebel enclave in Aleppo. We are leaving with our dignity, Morjan says in this clip, and we will return one day. That promised return is now finally on the horizon. Morjan says he is planning to move back to Aleppo from Gaziantep, Turkey, where he currently lives with his wife and their 2 young daughters.
What is your dream now for Syria's future?
I'm optimistic about the future, he says, and I have huge hope that the country will be better than before. But not all are keen to hurry back to an unstable country with an uncertain future, says this human rights defender.
There's no sustainable peace, and which makes me really afraid of getting back there.
Hossam Kassas, who is seeking asylum in the United Kingdom, is among tens of thousands of Syrians whose applications for asylum were suspended after the UK and other European countries paused the process to reassess now that the threat of Assad is gone. For years, Kassas has documented potential war crimes committed by all major parties to the conflict. If he goes back, he says, his family could be targeted or worse.
Why do you not feel safe to return?
We expected a lot of revenge killing will happen. Those soldiers will seek revenge from the people who were trying to hold them accountable, actually.
Many Syrians in the diaspora long to return and rebuild, but this moment of great hope brings with it great uncertainty. Salma Abdulaziz, CNN, London.